Welcome inside the IKS Media Studios. I'm your host, Clark Munroe, for another episode of SJHL Weekly, of course, presented by our good friends at UPL, where today we're going to recap a busy 11-game weekend. We're going to break out players of the week. We're going to play a little bit of over or under later on in the show, and we're joined by special guest Thomas Ries of the Yorkton Terriers. And then we're going to look ahead to a busy week coming up. So before we do any of that, make sure we got to thank our sponsors. And of course, that starts with Canterra Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Canalta Hotels, SGEU, Sask Lotteries, UPL, of course, Chevrolet, Great Western, SaskTel, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Vaterstad. And if you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, please make sure to hit like and share. Send in those comments. We want to hear from you throughout the show. Make sure you follow us on all of our accounts as well. And joining me today in the studio is a very excited man, and because of the jersey he's got on underneath his suit jacket. So Nugsy, an 11-game weekend for us to talk about, but have you settled down yet from those two massive Blue Jays wins over the weekend? Because I don't know if I fully have.
It's very exciting. Excited for Trey Savage, a.k.a. Riley Rich Holden of the Ormond Wolverines. They look exactly the same to me.
Go check out Twitter. Nugsy just posted a picture of Riley Rich Holden.
You tell me what you think in the comments.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say about it, though, is the series is not over. Anybody who's saying it's over is crazy. Yankee Stadium is a different beast. The Jays are different on the road. The Yankees are different at home. Like, I honestly really believe that we'll have a Game 5 in Toronto.
Wow, there you go. That's an interesting one.
I hope I'm wrong.
I sure hope you're wrong.
I hope my words are going down smooth with a nice beverage on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. But
yeah, definitely. Well, Tuesday would be great because that would mean they would be done in 3 games.
Would be perfect.
There was 11 games this weekend, Nugsy, so why don't we have a look? We're going to dive into the headlines, but before we do that, let's check out the recap scoreboard presented by Sask Lotteries, of course, the look back. And that's going to start with a 4-2 win for Flin Flon over Warman. Nipawin got a 3-1 win on Friday night over Estevan. Melville doubled up Weyburn 8-4, a big win for them. 8 different goal scorers that night, big game for them. Yorkton with a 5-3 win over Humboldt, starting a big weekend for the Terriers. Melfort with a 3-2 shootout victory over Battlefords. And then on Saturday, a lot of these teams played each other again. Some different matchups, though. Weyburn got their revenge with a 4-3 win over Melville. Flin Flon got another win over Warman, but this time in a shootout, so Warman snuck out a point there. Yorkton, another win over Humboldt, so a huge weekend for the Terriers. And again, that's why a big reason why we have Thomas Ries coming on the show later on to chat about that weekend and everything going on in Yorkton. Melfort shut out Battlefords. Case and Kabelka, a huge game there, 2-0 win for Melfort. Larange, they got a big win, their first one of the season, with a 4-3 overtime win over Estevan. But on Sunday, Estevan got their revenge with a 3-2 overtime win. But Larange did come out of the weekend with 3 out of 4 points. So not too bad for Larange. Probably it feels pretty good for them, Nugsy. Let's start with the headlines, though, a.k.a. the IKS Live Wire. We'll start with Off the Schneid, which is going to be, of course, starting with Yorkton, but also Larange. So when you first put that up there, I'm like, that's a perfect title for this one because Kyle Schneider's in Larange. Kyle Schneider's not in Larange anymore. But it's still a great headline. Off the Schneid. Yorkton, and let's start with Yorkton, guys in the back. Nugsy, let's talk about that huge weekend for the Yorkton Terriers.
Yeah, I mean, it really did start in Estevan on Tuesday. They didn't play badly at all in Estevan on Tuesday, with the exception of, I don't know, the first 8 minutes when everything was going in for Estevan. But the rest of the game, Yorkton was probably the better team at Affinity Place. They fired 61 shots toward the Estevan net in the second and third period. So, you go into this matchup with the Humboldt Broncos team, and I'll talk about Humboldt just in a second, but first, Yorkton's 26.1% on the power play. That will do. That's the second best in the league. Humboldt 0 for 9 on the power play, and as much as, we talked about, especially in that opening series with Warman, how bad Warman's power play is, I'm not going to mince words, has been. Humboldt's power play wasn't that much better, we'll be honest. It's just they were able to bury down a few more times. 5-on-5. Not very good performance at all for Humboldt in Yorkton. I think you give the Terriers a lot of credit. It was kind of opposite games in terms of who controlled the play. Certainly Humboldt was better in Humboldt. Yorkton found a way. Callum Craig, we talked about him in the intro, Clark.
Yeah.
In our season preview.
Yeah.
We believe in him. He's legit.
Definitely.
He had one bad game at the showcase. We're going to stop mentioning it.
Yeah.
He is legitimately an elite goalie in this league. and he showed it over the weekend.
Shout out to Paul Drouin checking in from probably down the hallway. Hey, Paul.
Hey, boss.
But the other half of that, of course, you mentioned Yorkton, you mentioned Humboldt, but the other half of the off the schneid headline was Larange, and Estevan came to town, and like I said, Larange snuck out 3 out of 4 points this weekend from Estevan, so a nice weekend for them too.
Yeah, huge for Larange. Before you guys run the Humboldt the Larange highlights, I just want to mention with the Humboldt Broncos. I know you don't like losing 2 games, you don't like jumping out of the SJHL rankings. I remember having a conversation with Trevor Blevins a couple of years ago after Melfort at the trade deadline added a whole bunch of pieces, and their team struggled for a little bit right after because everybody's like, well, we got all these guys, it's going to be easy now. Look at that guy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's all sorts of mental elements to it. We'll get to it in news and notes, but they added, Tyrone Sobry, they added Easton Adrian earlier, they added Owen Chapman. They're moving pieces around there in Humboldt to get the right fits. And so it wasn't the greatest weekend for Humboldt right after making a bunch of ads. So maybe that's what it chalks up to. So now, we move forward. Just quickly, Larange certainly is young. They're probably the youngest team in the league. Hard to think that they wouldn't be. Waylon Gardapi is the name that I probably forgot. If there was one name I forgot in the season preview about who to watch, he has been legitimate. He was legitimate when Larange called them up last year too. 08 birth year, Clark.
Yeah.
An 08 birth year.
Yeah.
And that kid is elite in our league. I think he should for sure be another guy that's at the Western All-Star Challenge. He had 4 goals in his last 4 games. Big weekend against the Estevan Bruins, who were in the midst of a 3 games in 3-day stretch. So kudos to the Bruins, Clark, too, for finding a way to get a win in that last game. But Clark, brand new rink there in the JRMCC. You don't want the fans to wait too long.
You're right. You want to get that win for that fan base up in there in the new building. It looks great in the highlights, by the way.
Good.
So shout out to everybody up there getting it set up and ready for the year. But yeah, obviously a great win for the team to kind of just get that monkey off their back sort of thing. Another just shout out for those jerseys. I love those jerseys, the black and purples. Love those jerseys for Larange. But yeah, great way to kind of get that, break the ice, so to speak.
Yeah, get the monkey off the back.
At home, in front of the home crowd especially. So shout out to them. Great job.
Look at this shot. Whoop.
Yeah.
Well, we'll return to that.
Yeah, we'll come. You know what, Bryce? Let's do it right now. I know I kind of said we weren't going to, but we just saw it. But let's go ahead and play it.
We'll watch it again. It's worth watching.
Yeah, the Tourism Saskatchewan highlight of the week. It's Larange's first win, and it was that overtime winner. You just saw it by William Knox. We'll show it again for you.
To Perosny now, into the Bruins end. Perosny centering pass for Knox. He shoots, he scores! Knox with the winner, his first goal in the SJHL. And the Wolves win 4-3.
That's one of the things.
To the top shelf. And a beautiful passing play by Perosny. And the Wolves pick up their first win of the campaign.
There you go.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think about in 3-on-3. So often we see guys, they see so much space in front of them. They're like, I'm going to slow down. Usually 5-on-5, I don't have as much time and space to make a decision. Sometimes you need to slow down and calm down for sure. But I love how Perosny attacked the space with speed, and that made everything happen for Knox, because he attacks with speed up the wing, gets it into the middle, and because he attacked with speed, the D have to back off with intensity, and then Knox has time to make a beautiful shot.
And he used a perfect screen as well.
Yeah.
The defenseman was perfectly in the way, so that shot just went right over top of the shoulder.
Well done. But
so
great in Perosny, one of the underrated
play.
guys in the league, plays with pace, can play defense well too, plays with intensity.
Yeah.
Stuck around in Larange. Kudos to him too.
Definitely. So great weekend there up in Larange. And we'll actually get back to the Bruins in a second, but we'll go back to the headlines here, the IKS Live Wire, and we're going to go to the Melfort Mustangs now, who are back in the saddle after a couple of wins over the weekend, Nugsy. So obviously must feel nice for Melfort after it wasn't even that bad of a start, but to get a couple wins and kind of put themselves back out there. What do you think about Melfort this weekend?
Yeah, Trevor Blevins, I think you can kind of read a little between the lines that Trevor Blevins is still trying to find the right squad mix. He's made a few moves, since the season began. Last year much more quiet, making moves. So he's not one to sit on his hands. The expectation in Melfort is to win and basically win every night. That's the standard that they've set. I think it was a very tight game in both nights. I think both games showed that the Battlefords North Stars, even though they lost both of them, they showed that they can play a style of hockey that really works in this league. They showed that they can score earlier in the year against Kindersley and Warman, and then they showed they can play a tighter, harder-nosed game. Obviously, it wasn't as big of a weekend offensively, for Gavin Granger, for example, but he played huge minutes, played heavy minutes, and very, very well. And I think that Trevor Blevins is still looking for the answer, but still, this Melfort Mustangs team, what did we talk about so many times with them last year, Clark? Their ability to win that tight
games,
over and over and over again.
Yeah.
18-0-0-2 last year in 1-goal games. They're 2-1-0-1 now in 1-goal games, but they're still trying to figure that out. But it's really a big time scoring by committee. I'll get to Nugs and Notes. They did make another addition up front, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But obviously last year they had guys like Riley Kotai and Logan Belton and Zach Summers, who were kind of like jump off the bench and make something happen, boys. Do they have that guy this year?
And I think that's our biggest thing that we talked about a couple weeks ago was, yes, I think they're going to be very good in close games again. They're going to be very hard to play against. It's going to be hard to put up big numbers against them. But are they going to have the guys like they had last year who could score to get that lead at least so that they could hold the lead? Because this year, that's the biggest difference. So we'll find out as we go. We'll continue to see who's going to step up and score those goals, and they'll find somebody.
How about that battle? Sorry for cutting off.
No.
How about that battle for goalie at the Western All-Star Challenge? You have Kabelka, I think, who's got to be there now. I mean, given the way he started.
It's a good start.
07, right? Obviously, Griffin Wright and Warman has been great. You kind of go down the list. There's the Zezel kid there in Larange has looked great. Like you go down the list. It's not going to be easy to pick.
No.
I think it's probably Case and Kabelka and somebody else right now, but we'll see what happens. But I asked Trevor Blevins. Malaka's hurt. Obviously he's hurt right now. He'll be back. Who's 1A, 1B when you get back? Because obviously Malaka, a lot of pedigree, a lot of trust in him and experience, but Kabelka is just off of the charts dominant right now too. He's like, we really love them both equally. Like he's honestly very we're pretty balanced.
And the best part about that for Case and Kabelka is the team is built so strongly in front of him, structure-wise and system-wise and defensively, that it definitely is going to help when it comes to showing off your goaltending skills.
But also, we're like a month away from the Western All-Star Challenge. Obviously, they need to name the rosters a lot sooner. You never, ever, ever want anybody to get injured. And I'm not saying Melfort wanted Malaka to get injured. Obviously not.
No.
But for Kabelka to show what he can do right now, it's a great time for him to show what he can do. So
and he's doing it. And he's doing it. And we'll get back to him later. Teaser. Let's bring up the headlines again. We'll go on to the number 3 headline, and that is the Bungie Madness. And it was a big weekend for the Bungie division. We'll get to that in Players of the Week because it'll show up in Players of the Week. You'll see what we mean. But Estevan had 3 games in 3 nights. Melville, Yorkton, Weyburn all had big weekends, or busy weekends, I should say, but big weekends for a couple of those teams. Let's talk about the Bungie division. Obviously, we already kind of talked about Yorkton, so maybe if you want to go Melville, Weyburn, Estevan here a little bit more. But what can you tell me about the Bungie? Because again, when you look at their, I'm going to bring up division standings, if you guys don't mind bringing up the division standings right now, because we can take a look at it right now. I mean, I know there's a 5-point split there between 1st and 4th, but at the same time, that doesn't feel very wide right now to me. Especially because we haven't seen Melville maybe play their best hockey consistently yet. 7 games in, obviously it's very early. Estevan has only played 5, so you give them 2 or 3 more games, they could be right up there with Weyburn. So let's talk about this Bungie division, Nugsy, because to me, it's the craziest division right now.
Yeah, and we kind of thought Estevan has played 8 games, by the way.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
But that all being said, obviously it's Rylan Williams' world, and we're just living in it, obviously, on Estevan. And it's not just him. They have all those great forwards. Obviously, we've shown some highlights.
If we can bring up the highlights one more time, or the division standings one more time, just a quick program note on that, and we'll go back to the highlights after. Yorkton and Estevan are just flipped. So just flip them. We just got them backwards. It's just we're working on some new graphic stuff, and it's there's some things we got to work out, but
anyways,
we'll get there.
Anyways,
just
we kind of talked about Estevan a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think I really want to talk about that big matchup between Weyburn and Melville that was this
Weyburn and
weekend.
Melville,
You know, there's the Larange highlights, but I know I started talking about Estevan, so the guys in the back are probably like, make up your mind, Newsy.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly a good finish, and I believe this was the second of the back-to-back there. Noah Asmundsson, what a pickup he has been. And
4 goals in his last 4 games.
And obviously he's taken a big step forward since, being in this league a couple of years ago. And you think about the Estevan power play and just their forward options in general. Obviously you think about who's the big, strong dude in front that you see the overtime winner there for ride guy Ryland Williams. You talk about that Estevan team, and you think Ryland Williams is probably the best net front guy you could put out there, but having Asmundsson be that net front guy, that really opens up the space for Ryland Williams to go do other things, and he's really taking stuff forwards with his confidence with the puck.
Yeah.
I think he's always been as strong as an ox. He's always been able to protect the puck, but I think he's taken another step forward that way with composure and with his skills with his hands. And I think Estevan's got something going forward well. So yeah, we talk about Weyburn and Melville, and yeah, it's going to be a super fun matchup all year. Obviously, there was lots of goals flying in. I asked Cody Mapes what he thought about Melville. He said that they've bought in. They're big, heavy, and competitive.
I think we have the highlights from their 8-4 game the other night. We'll put those up.
Yeah, 8-4 and 4-3 over the weekend. If you don't remember from the score sheet, I think Weyburn was able to put up a good amount of scoring chances on the Melville net, and I think both teams are trying to figure out what the best goalie situation is for them at the moment as well. I know, Timotanovic is the guy that they're running with there in Weyburn, and they're still trying to figure it out there in Melville. But, again, they're wild games. They're tough games between those two. I think that would be a really fun playoff series. They both are in similar images. I know how much respect Cody Mapes has for Doug Johnson and vice versa. So it's going to be a good battle back and forth. But Clark, how big does it look right now for Cale Margolis? All the trades that he's made for him to land and hit the ground running. It's never that easy to just jump right in and hit the ground running.
No, we see it almost every year where we see a player come back from the WHL or maybe another league of some kind, and it takes them a couple of weeks because they miss training camp. You don't know who the teammates are quite, unless you've been there before in some cases, but you don't know who your line mates are. You have to get used to the speed of the league again because there's a different style, so it takes some time. But Cale Margolis jumped in 6 points in 3 games since returning, so it didn't seem like it took him too long. Now his body type is really built well for this league, and especially for playing against a team like Weyburn to kind of kick off getting back into it. So maybe that helped. But it's going to be a good. They had a really solid line, Melville, this past weekend with Cale Margolis, Matty Edwards, and Brendan Olsen. If those guys are going to be aligned together,
scary.
Oh boy,
I think Weyburn has big boys to deal with it too. So
you're right.
It's a good battle, and I think again, just my last point about about Melville is, I had a really good chat with Doug Johnson not that long ago. And we were talking about, developing offensive players, about, how he thinks Margolis is going to fit in.
Sure.
And, a lot of people think about Doug Johnson as defense and hard-nosed and stuff. And certainly that is him. But his philosophy around unlocking the potential and motivating and empowering offensive players is not to put a lot of handcuffs on them. Like, you're accountable. You have to be accountable to play for Doug Johnson. But he's not going to say, he's totally the opposite in saying, you can't go out there and try things and make mistakes and be creative. He's had lots and lots of very good, very creative players. You think back to Nipawin days, even Jake Tremblay and Jordan Simoneau and whatever. Those guys were free to try all sorts of, Josh McDougall, like all these great players on Nipawin that they had. And also, obviously, the Drury's and the Yogans and whatever. These guys were free to freelance in a lot of ways. And so, it's not that Doug says you can't try things. It's that he holds kids really accountable. So that's sort of the chicken and the egg, the two sides of the coin that maybe people miss.
Yeah, exactly. So big weekend there in the Bungie, but let's have a look at our AgCast Livewire one more time as we have one more headline, and that is Gritty Birds, Nugsy. And that will be, of course, we're going to talk about the Nipawin Hawks. they're off to a really solid start. I think they're 4-1, if I'm not mistaken, early on in the year, just 5 games played. But they're showing like they might have a little bit of that hype we gave them in the preseason. They're winning their last 3 games in a row here. Obviously, a big win on Friday night against Estevan.
Yeah.
The battle of the black and golds, I like to call it, in Nipawin. So what can you see so far? Again, 5 games in, but from the Nipawin Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question mark was whether this team would play hard and hard-nosed and defensive, and if it's not flying in, if it's not going perfect, what would the body language be? What would the mentality be for a group that, it's not that they're bad kids, it's just that they were kind of in a bit of a losing space last couple of years in Nipawin, and so the question was, could Tad Kozin motivate them to start playing playoff style hockey sooner in the season? And it looks like they kind of have. And obviously it starts with Gage Roberts in net. He's been wonderful the last couple especially. We kind of expected him to be an elite goalie in this league this year, and he has lately especially. So, whether it's flying in, we haven't quite seen the goals fly in. You look at the stats, and I know kids do so much, maybe outside of Mason Karkachuk, the Eric Hoynesses of the world, the Finley Redloffs of the world, the Ashton Tates of the world. It hasn't flown in maybe as much as they would have liked, even though we're still so early in the season.
Right.
But those guys, I encourage them to just rally together, just keep winning hockey games. Don't care who gets the points. That's what the best teams do, is they don't care who gets the glory, as long as the team does. I'm not saying those guys are like that. I'm just saying, here's my advice to you, because, we'll go on runs where it'll be Karkachuk flying.
Yeah.
We'll go on runs where it's Radloff, where it's Hoynes, where it's Tate, where it's Watson, where it's Lothar, whoever. The Hawks just need to stick with it, because they're off to a great start as a team without scoring the 100,000 goals that maybe we thought they would.
Right, and I think the longer they play this way to start the season, their offense is going to blossom. It's going to bloom. And then, like you said, maybe that will pop off. But if they can play this way now, build that team structure, these 3-1 games are going to turn into 5-1 games, 6-1 games, stuff like that. So I think Nipawin's off to this is exactly, if you ask Tad Kozin, hey, after 5 games, what do you want to do? I think he'd be like, exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and just be patient. And Flin Flon and Melfort in that division, and never easy day in La Ronge. Like, it's a brutal division up there. It always has been.
Yeah.
If you want to play with the big boys in that division, you better play like this.
Yeah,
so it's not going to be, fun and fancy-free like some of those guys we know that they can do.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be fun going to the Whitney or the Palace for big games late in the season. And you just got to make it no fun to come to the Centennial Arena either. And they have made it that way this season.
So far, they're off to a great start. We'll see once they get a few more games within their division, we'll see how that all looks. But off to a great start. Nugsy, odds and ends. We have a few things we want to get to just before we move on. So what do we want to start with?
Yeah, just there was some talk about the fantasy draft that we had last week. I'm pretty happy with my team. I had a little chat. Well, you're winning,
we have
there you go. Oh, we do have it. There
Look
you go.
at Kelly upstairs.
He's
just a rock
He's on
star.
the ball. Yeah, my goalie, Charlie Tritt, and I had a little chat, and he said, he's like, oh, thanks for picking me, and I was like, oh yeah, like, wouldn't it be cool if you won the league, in the fantasy league in the same season? That'd be pretty cool. Not cheering for anybody, definitely not cheering for Humboldt. But anyways, it's obviously an interesting matchup. You can see right there. There's the scores. Obviously, Ry Guy Williams is really pacing you. I don't know how we let you and Rennie go so deep.
I was a little surprised. I could not pass up on it.
Jacob and I were in affinity places, I said last Tuesday, and she was like, how did you guys let Rennie? We put our hand. I put my hand up. But I'm very happy with Margolis as my last pick right now. I think he's having a monster year, and it's going to be tight down the whole year. It looks like, and it's tight right now. So
I mean, when I'm gonna boast right now that I have the lead, but I know that we're like 5 to 8 games in. I've had leads in this league in the past, and they've lasted about a couple weeks, and then I'm down in 3rd or 4th. So now with 5 teams, we'll see. It's gonna be really interesting. We've never had 5 teams before in our fantasy league.
Don Williams is tuned in. Hello, Don. Yes, your son is doing very well. I also heard from Keith Harkness. Obviously, Boston's, you can see where his selflessness and his great attitude comes from. First thing he said is, Margolis is going to be huge for us. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. But also your boy is doing great. But obviously that's, the Harknesses are very humble people. And Boston's having a great year. So,
well, I was, just for the record, I had Boston on the top of my list of players that I wanted. And I picked Rylan Williams. Benny picked Boston Harkness.
Yeah.
And then it was my turn again. That's when I picked Vinny Palmerine. So not upset about having Vinny. I'm just saying, Boston was a guy I was looking at.
Before we move on, I know we keep saying, got to mention Flin Flon quickly. 2 wins there over Warman. For Warman, really good performances. Maybe one of the best Brett Pilkington team performances, at least since the Kevin Anderson year. Up there in the Whitney and outshot them and outchanced them, especially on Friday. The Warman team did the Bombers. Obviously, the Bombers just find a way, but I'm getting Melfort from last year vibes for Flin Flon this year because they're perfect still on the season. The number 4 in the CJ rankings,
but they're
came
tight.
out. But they're just winning 1-goal games, shootout games, overtime games, tie games.
Now, in fairness, too,
guys.
though, they also lead the league in goal differential with the 16 because they did have a couple of big games. But like you said, a lot of their wins so far have been pretty close.
Mike just loves his decor right now, and they are playing great. So fair enough. It's a mean team.
Yeah,
that's
what we said they would be.
Mean, and
we said they would be.
That's what they are.
Exactly. Let's take a look at the league standings. We already looked at the division standings, so let's have a look at the league standings here. As again, we're 5 to 8 games in. None of this means a ton at the moment, but as you can see, the 4 teams outside of a playoff spot right now: Battleford's, Yorkton, LaRange, and Warman. That could change within a week. We know that. Flin Flon leads the way, as you mentioned. Newsy still 6-0, have not lost a game yet. Weyburn and Humboldt tied with 10 points. Melfort with 9, Nipawin with 8, Estevan with 8. Kindersley with 7, and then Melville rounding out the playoff teams right now with 6. And again, this could all easily change, and it's going to within the next week.
Over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. So don't put too much stock into this right now, but just a quick update for you as to where we are. Of course, big shout out to Chevrolet. You saw all of our highlight packages throughout our headlines and recap there. So Chevrolet is our highlight sponsor. And if you see any great highlights or great plays that you want to be showcased in our highlight of the week for Tourism Saskatchewan, please make sure you send us a message and say, hey, this happened. This was wild. Make sure you clip this one, check it out. So make sure you do that. Send it to either the SJHL account, Nugsy's account, my account on Twitter, anywhere. Just say, hey, saw a great play. You might want to check it out. We will. Nugsy, do you want to get to Nugs and Notes here before we get to our first commercial break? It's time for Nugs and Notes.
It's Nugs and Notes.
Hey, like my outfit just looks like his outfit today.
You're kind of matching.
Hey, that was not intentional at all. But
You didn't coordinate that with little Nugsy?
I didn't, and he'll be mad at me actually. He's like, no, there we go. Look
Literally blue shirt and everything.
Except I don't have
Pants,
I don't
you got
have
different
different pants. But
Yeah,
that's okay.
different
Nobody
pants.
can see my pants.
Yeah.
So Nugs and Notes, a couple roster moves. A couple teams dropped or got kids that were taken off Western League teams. Steel Bass or Base. I hope it's Steel Base, but it's probably Steel Bass.
It's probably Steel Bass.
And is going to be one of the goaltenders for Battleford. It's from the Consolidated Raiders. I know, but Steel Base would have been cool. Tyrone Sobry from the Saskatoon Blades and Owen Chapman dropped down to the Humboldt Broncos. Especially Chapman was excellent as a call-up last year out of the contacts, and so I'm really excited to see Owen Chapman, who's again an 08. Get young kids in this league, I'm telling you. A couple trades. Weyburn acquired Bryson Carlisle from technically from Red Lake in the SI, but he was with Coquitlam in the BCHL. Big right shot D. Veteran guy. Not sure where Jonah Baird is. He hasn't been in the lineup. That's a big loss for Weyburn. Jackson Doyle they brought in recently as well on the back end. Looks okay, but Weyburn's looking for some depth. LaRange acquired Justin Berezniak from Bonnyville, and also a D-man, 06 D-man, not a points guy, I guess we'll say, in the AJ, but again, a guy with some junior experience. And then Ries Nyland, which is an interesting pickup for Melfort. They got him for future considerations from Fort McMurray, because it feels like, constantly we're getting kids in from Fort McMurray in the AJ. But he already scored a game-winning goal for Melfort, and talk about Trevor Blevins looking for some more pure offense out of that team, which we maybe thought they would be looking for. I think Ries Nyland's an interesting one. Just a quick rundown then. A couple other points. Ryan Duguay transferred from Northern Michigan. He's playing at the University of Alberta, former Melfort Mustang. Eric Hauk has been named the captain of the University of Regina.
Hey, cool.
The former Estevan Bruin, among others. Riley Kotai scored 2 goals in UBC's win over McEwen. We've seen that movie before. Brandon Della Polera is a guy that you actually sent this news off to me, captain at Anna Maria College in Massachusetts. He was at LaRange bunch of years ago. It's his 4th year now in college. And Rylan McNinch is the captain of the Red Deer Poly, 3-time champs in the ACAC. Congratulations. 17 kids on the Red Deer roster, SJHL alumni. 17, and good ones, very good ones.
Yeah, we love that.
And Rylan McNinch was a terrific kid for Battleford. So, yeah, there's news and notes.
There you go. And I just got word that our guest is ready to go after the break, so we'll hit a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Yorkton Terriers defenseman Thomas Ries. Join us after the break.
The Price Beat Guarantee is back at Capital GMC in Regina. We will beat any price on any new vehicle from any competitor, or you get $500 cash guaranteed. The Price Beat Guarantee at Capital GMC in Regina.
At Vatterstad, we're partnering with North American farmers to create the perfect emergence. We're doing this with new and innovative tillage, planting, and seeding solutions, optimized for the field conditions that you face, and with industry-leading capacities to help you get the job done in short windows of time, so you can maximize yields. Vatterstad, we look forward to growing together.
Every ticket you buy funds programs all across Saskatchewan, like sports. Buy your tickets today.
In the last decade, the construction industry has reduced injuries by 46%. That's as many injuries prevented that would fill several stadiums. Find out more at scsaonline.ca.
Feeling like your dreams are out of reach? RBC has programs and resources to help you open the door. With RBCX Music, RBC Training Ground, and RBC Scholarships, your idea of your highest potential happens here.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back inside the IKS Media Studios. Jamie Neugebauer, Clark Munroe here, and we are going to jump onto the video chat line and be joined now by Yorkton Terriers defenseman Thomas Ries. Thomas, a big weekend for the Terriers and yourself. So let's talk about these two big wins over Humboldt, outscoring them 10-5 over the weekend. How's the team feeling right now coming out of this two-win weekend?
The guys are feeling pretty good. They were a bit tired, and we had to put in a lot of work to be competitive out there and win some games. And once we all got the chemistry going, settling in, and I think we're gonna be really good, and we're gonna make a push here, and it's gonna be good.
Spoiler alert for anybody who might not have opened Twitter yet, but we just published the Players of the Week, Tommy, and you got the Super U Defenseman of the Week. I mentioned a minute ago that you had a big weekend yourself, so congrats on that. I'm curious, last year, obviously, coming into the season, there was some question marks with Yorkton's defensive group, and yourself and a couple other younger guys really stepped up. Now that you've had that season under your belt, you're coming in this year as more of a leader. What's been your approach coming into the season? What's your mindset coming back for your 19-year-old year?
I got to take another step. I got to be better and got to take that next step to help our team win in any way we can. And just after last year coming in as a rookie, I thought I had a pretty good year, and just doing that again, maybe putting up some more points and blocking more shots and doing all that, and just taking another step and being better at my game personally and helping the younger guys develop their game and get adapted to the league.
Well, Clark and I just smiled because I don't know how many more shots you could block than last year, Tommy, but I'm sure you could find a way.
We'll find a way.
We'll find a way. I got to ask you, I want you to take me deep into this question here, Tommy. Got to take me deep. Humboldt boy, play for Yorkton. Who do you like beating more, Humboldt or Melville? And take me deep.
Well, for me personally, I think it has to be Humboldt because back in the day, really got no interest from them and they didn't want me there at all. So beating them every time is awesome. I love beating them. But as a Yorkton player, it's got to be Melville, as obvious, because that's the rival. That's the team where it gets dirty, and that's the guys we want to beat every time, no matter what.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, as well. Yeah, obviously part of that trade. Tell us too about Cale Johns. Obviously had a big week, and he also was
spoiler
named
alert,
one of the award winners
Rookie
and part
of
of
the week.
Rookie of the Week. Part of that trade that we've talked about a lot already, I'm sure, with the Clay Sleva for you and Coyle and Cale and among others. It seems like it's a great trade. Continues to work out well for Yorkton. But tell us about what you've seen from young Cale Johns so far.
Yeah, no, Cale, he came in, he missed, or we scratched that one game, and then we put him back in. He had a great week of practice, and we're like, this guy's got to be in the lineup. He's going to go out there, be relentless, and he's going to score some big goals for us, and he did, and it was awesome. Up and down the lineup, all the rookies were contributing to scoring and playing defense. The last game in Yorkton against Humboldt, we had our fourth line playing against Strizzy and Miller the whole time, and they were just on him and on him. It was good. Those young kids are really good, and Cale himself he's going to be a big piece of this team, and all of them are. They really are.
One nice part about coming back this year, it's always nice when you have a goalie returning. Callum Craig coming back for you guys. What have you seen from Callum early on in this season? Maybe even going back to training camp a little bit. How has he been looking in your eyes?
He's been looking really good. He came in, he knew he's going to be the guy, right? And he knew that, so he had a big summer. Loved this summer, and the first weekend, whatever happens, and we lost 2 games, so he bounced back, and it was awesome. And those 2 last games he played was awesome, unreal. I don't know, he was prime Carey Price out there for the one game at home. I was like, holy, this is what we need, and he's really good, and I just love the way he's going and the way he's gonna keep going on and just keep getting better every day.
Yeah, here we go, Callum Price or
Callum
Craig
Price, I like that.
One of those. There you go. We gotta use that there. Pretty awesome. I gotta ask you. You mentioned it there. We'll rewind a little bit there. You mentioned that Humboldt. At the time maybe didn't see what maybe you were gonna be, and obviously have turned into be. And I'm sure Braden Klamosko and Dan were probably like, oh, why didn't they figure that out? But anyways, that's ancient history. I got to ask you about, the doubters and the people that have said, Tommy, this is the way your stride looks and this is what you can't do and blah, blah, blah. How have you kind of used all that, in the right way to come into this league really from day one and being such a force? Because it seems like however you've used that, that criticism, fair or unfair, it seems like it kind of drives you well.
Yeah, no, always playing with a chip on my shoulder is one thing I like to do, because I know, a lot of chirps and whatever about my stride or whatever and all that. And I know I'm not the most flexible guy ever, so I know growing up, never really looked into it. I just looked into being fast, having quick feet, just getting going and building my strength, because I knew I had the ability to be really strong, comes from the genes. And I was like, I can play that way and be fast. And if I can do that, I'm like, that's what I want to do. Yeah. So coming in, I was like, if I'm a strong rookie and play hard, I think everything will go my way.
Now, Nugsy mentioned, obviously, you're a Humboldt boy. You played a lot of your minor hockey in Humboldt, but you also played in Estevan, which is just down the highway from Weyburn. So I don't know if there's a ton of rivalry there, but you do play Weyburn tomorrow night. What's on your mind heading into tomorrow night? Maybe personally, but also as a team heading into your game against Weyburn tomorrow?
Just playing a full 60 minutes and just preparing well, getting our sleep and all that, and coming in hard. We got to play them hard. They're gritty. They're just like us. They want to win. So every night you got to be ready to go, because it's hard to get wins in this league. So we're just going to come in prepared and just do our thing and stick to the systems and win a hockey game. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. I have rapid fire, but I have one more question.
Yeah, go for it. No,
so
go for it.
My last question then for you, Tommy, is you were talking earlier about realizing last year you could play in this league and be an impact player as a rookie, but it's always about experience, and experience helps as well. So what have you kind of said to the Cale Johnses and the Cash Lanigans, who, by the way, I said to Emery, like, he is a SJHL media team favorite right now. That kid just hits to hurt people, and it's a lot of fun to watch. But just all these young bucks that are in Yorkton that want to prove that just because Jaron and Dave Coyle and these guys are out the door doesn't mean that the standard isn't the same in Yorkton as it was in last year.
Yeah, like I said earlier on in the year in preseason, after the one game in Melville, which we won, but I was like, we can't start here and then go to here in playoffs. I said, we got to just be here all year long.
Mm-hmm.
We got to continue that through the season. Doesn't matter that we lost guys who got 80 points, whatever. We're going to have guys scoring up and down the lineup, and I'm like, you guys are part of that. Lanigan, I remember playing him back in the day, and reminds me of me as if I was a forward. That's what I see in him, and I'm like, this guy's, I like it a lot. So just tell him, just play your game, and you're going to be playing lots, and you're going to do your job.
Funny you say that. Emery said, I was talking to Emery about Cash, and he said the exact same thing. He said he's Tommy Ries if he was a forward. And that is huge praise from Emery.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, rapid fire.
Rapid fire time.
All right, I got some rapid fire. Brought that into this year. Try to fill some shoes in that way. But Tommy, are you ready for some Newsies rapid fire?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. What is the best restaurant in Yorkton?
I gotta go with the Taps.
Do you like the Taps more or Johnny's Bistro?
Johnny's Bistro. I just love that place.
I love Johnny's Bistro. As an aside, my buddy who was a Mountie in Humboldt, he's like, they give you too much food. I'm like, how is that possible? It's just better value. He's crazy though. Your last name is Ries. What is the best Reese's product?
Ooh. I like the original Reese's
peanut butter cup.
What are they called? Peanut butter cups. Yeah, those I love those.
Don't mess with success.
I had the Reese's Pieces with the peanuts inside recently.
Yeah.
Those.
Have you? I don't think they're in Canada, but have you tried the Oreo collab that they just came out with? No. I'm going down to the States this weekend.
Oreo collab.
That's literally one of my goals is to get those.
Probably not gluten-free.
Yeah. Thank you, Bryce.
There you go. Well, anyways, Ries, maybe Yorkton Terriers could get a little Reese's sponsorship going there with you there. Yeah, let's see what happens there. Calvin Tokarczuk, think about it. What's something that Emery says on the bench all the time?
We just gotta stick to the system usually and keep playing hard. Like, I know he's usually up front on the forward, so I don't really hear much. But
maybe that's for the best.
If anything in the TV timeouts, it's system play and playing hard.
Okay, fair enough. Or maybe Scotty Musqua. I don't know. Who on the team can beat you in a skating race? Because you mentioned like your stride, but I've seen you so many times. It's almost like you're playing a video game and you hit the speed burst. Like you just like chase after somebody. So who on the team can beat you in a skating race?
If anyone, I think it has to be Jai. I haven't really raced anyone this year yet, so I don't know.
He's fast as well.
That would make sense.
Fair enough. But Tommy is you're so fast, Tommy. Last one then. Who on the team can beat you in an arm wrestle?
Ooh.
No, I don't think anyone.
No. Okay.
Farm boy Tommy cannot. All the hay baling you've done. Just the forearm strength. Fair enough. Tommy Ries, thank you so much for playing Newsies Rapid Fire.
There you go. Well, Tommy, you got a big game coming up, so we'll let you get back to work. But appreciate you joining us today. We'll talk again down the road.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
There you go. And congrats once again, for the Defenseman of the Week honors, which are out on Twitter now on our website. And in literally 30 seconds, they will be up on Facebook and Instagram as well. So shout out to everybody there. We're going to take one more break, Newsy. When we come back, we're going to do Players of the Week. We're going to play a little bit of over-under, which is always a good time. And we'll queue you up for the rest of the week. So come back after the break.
Feeling left out of can't-miss moments? RBC has programs and resources to help you open the door. RBC clients get access to concerts, Avion rewards, and exclusive benefits. Your idea of memorable moments happens here.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That is the same population as Weyburn. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
Ticket you buy funds programs all across Saskatchewan, like arts and culture. Buy your tickets today.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 138. You could build your own pallet furniture.
So you're living on your own. You gotta save money by building furniture with pallets.
Or get Infinite 150 for only $50 a month with SaskTel student deals.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
There we go. We are back. Segment 3 now. It's been a great show, Nugsy. Nice and quick so far, and we're going to keep it rolling here with Players of the Week. It's time for Players of the Week, and we have some great ones this week, Nugsy. We already talked about a bunch of them already. We interviewed one of them, but we'll start with the SGEU MVP of the week, and Nugsy, look no further. You talked about him at length already. Kaysen Kabelka of the Melfort Mustangs, filling in admirably right now with Madden Malacca out of the lineup. What can you say about this kid that we haven't already said?
Yeah, another elite goaltender in Melfort.
Shocker.
From James Venn to Christian Coombs to Madden Malacca to Kaysen Kabelka. These are like maybe the 4 best goals in the league. Well, it's maybe a stretch, but there are 4 of the best already.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive for him to just step in. He's a great team in front of him. I'm sure he'd be the first to say that. But hey, you either stop it or you don't, and Kaysen stops it.
Yeah, and of course, notching his first shutout as well. So congrats to Kaysen. The Borgo forward of the week. This guy is pacing the league right now. It's Rylan Williams, member of my fantasy hockey team. Shout out to him. 6 points in 4 games, including the overtime winning goal against Larange. That'll do it. Thank you, Bryce. Including the overtime winner against Larange on Sunday, Nugsy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking right now the Bruins are kind of going as Rylan Williams and Ewan Rennie are going.
Yeah, I mean, they got players. I mean, Ethan Andrews has had to play a huge role on the back end, another Moneymen team member. But look, you know, Rylan Williams has taken big steps forward in a lot of areas offensively. Another thing, though, is his bread and butter, and that is deflecting pucks in front, that is being in the right area, that is being as strong as an ox. I wouldn't mind seeing a Rylan Williams versus Tommy Ries arm wrestle.
Oh. Can we get that set up?
Maybe?
I think we can.
But Ry Guy Williams is on fire to start the year, and you know, it's great to see. It's fun to watch. It's a lot of fun to watch.
It is fun to watch. Well, we already talked to this guy, the Super U defenseman of the week, Tommy Ries. Thomas Ries, of course, but we call him Tommy, of the Yorkton Terriers. 3 points, including 2 goals in 3 games this past week, Nugsy.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about this guy already. What an impressive player this guy is, and really a huge driving force behind this Yorkton week that they won 2 games against Humboldt.
Yeah, wrote Cantera Seeds Golden Sheaf piece about him last year. Farm boy, no excuses, maturity, hard work. everything that it takes to win, understanding about keeping it even keel all year long. You heard him talking there. No surprise that he's off to a great start as well, playing 24 minutes a game already as well as year. And I'm sure that's going to keep going because if you're Emery Lawson and you're on that bunch and Tommy Ries is never getting tired, you might as well play. So
just keep them going.
Keep them going.
The SaskTel goaltender of the week. We're going to go up to Nipawin now. It's Gage Roberts, 2 wins, 65 saves. Look at that goals against. Look at that save percentage, Nugsy. Very impressive week and something we expected out of Gage Roberts this season, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, his decor has been really good too in front of him. Justice Cutler, Noah Heinrich, these guys have played very well. But Gage has stepped into a difficult situation last year. Goalies leaving, goalies trading, et cetera, took the job, continues to run with it, and everything does start with a goalie. So when you got a goalie.
You got one. The Sask Milk Rookie of the Week, we alluded to him in the interview with Tommy Ries, but Cale Johns scored his first 3 goals of his SJHL career this past week. So congrats to Cale Johns, Nugsy. Big piece of that Clay Sleva trade as well.
Well, and when I mentioned him to my wife said it's a good thing that his last name isn't Chips. Kale chips.
Kale chips.
Which are not very delicious.
But I like kale chips.
I don't like kale chips.
I've had some good kale chips over the years.
Well, we can disagree. That's all right. Cale Johns, congratulations. He'll score simple goals, but that doesn't matter. He'll go to the right areas, bang them in with some tenacity. And good for him, banging them in.
And that Clay Sleva trade, again, we talk about it all the time.
Just keeps on giving.
Just continues to pay off. And then finally, the Cantera Seeds Saskatchewan Player of the Week. And it's newcomer, kinda, Mikhail Margolis, 6 points. He has played in the league before with the Estevan Bruins back in the day. I think it was just like one game.
One game in the playoff.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's not a newcomer necessarily to the SJHL, but he's a newcomer to the Melville Millionaires, Nugs. And you're a fantasy team.
Yeah, my fantasy team, one of my last pick, actually. But, just dropped straight from the Tri-City Americans. No, waiting time, no time need to hit the ground running. And, big boy, obviously, can skate. He's got skills, too. And he'll be free in Melville, as I said, under Doug Johnson to try things, to be creative and to shoot the puck. And so far, the opportunity has been taken by Cale.
It's working out. All right, there you go. There's our Players of the Week for this past week. If you want to check out the article, it's over on sjhl.ca right now. So go give that a look and read up the write-up that Nugsy put together over there. We'll play a little bit over-under. We have six over-unders to go over. Okay. And we're going to start with the goalies. And last year, Nugsy, we had 3 goalies that had 3 shutouts or more. So let's say this year we're going to set it at 4.5 goalies with 3+ shutouts. So at least 3. We're going to go 4.5. What would you say to the over-under on that one?
I say just under. I remember a couple of years ago we set it like 5 shutouts.
Yeah.
We didn't really get close.
I think last year we did.
Something.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think, again, getting a shutout is hard. I know Charlie Tritt had a couple real fast for Humboldt. I know Kabelka now has one. But I'm going to go like under, but not by a lot.
But barely. I'm gonna say under, but I want to say over in terms of tandems having more, because I feel like there's a lot of really good tandems this year compared to maybe the past couple of years where we've seen maybe a definite starter and a nice backup or something. I feel like the tandem groups this year.
Malacca and Kabelka could have like 11 together.
So like I could see having tandems 1A, 1Bs.
Peck and Bradley are
having 5+ each like combined, but maybe individuals with 3+ might be lower, but I'm going to say teams with 5+ or so will be over. Last year we had 6 30-goal scorers. We're going to put the over-under at 6.5 this year. Do you think there'll be more than last year or less, or the same, I guess, as last year?
I think more, because I see goals are flying this year.
Yeah.
So, I made a list, actually, of guys who are kind of potential. Streetsy, Williams, Saddlemeyer, Corshane, Pierce, Brendan Olson, Margolis, Mason Karkachuk. That's 8.
Yeah.
Radloff
and you only went over like
hot.
4 teams there.
Just like a bunch. So, I mean, I think probably there's a possibility for a lot of 30 goals.
I think so too. I'm gonna agree with you and say over. I feel like this year, I feel like scoring is gonna be up across the board. Just the way the teams are all structured, I feel like there will be a little bit more. I'm not gonna say pond hockey, but a little bit more open hockey being played.
I think a lot of people have saber rod. We got to be a younger league. We got to be a younger league. And I think to some degree the coaches have listened to that. And I think younger guys make a few more mistakes. Now we'll see how coaches and GMs change their teams and their rosters as the season goes. But right now it's a bit of a younger league, and more goals tend to go in when there's younger kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to say over. Last year we had 9 players with 40 assists. So this year will we have more than that? The over/under is 9.5 this year. Over/under.
Yeah.
40 assists.
I'm going to say under, actually.
Okay.
Which I guess I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but I'm just talking about, people that are looking for passes.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think like a Ewan Rennie playing with a Rylan Williams. I think, Wyatt Thornton's off to a huge start. Turner McIntyre has got some mouths to feed around him. Corshane is, again, he's got elite making ability. There's a bunch of Nipawin boys that maybe, but 9.5 is a lot. Like 10 is a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with under, but again, not by a lot.
I'll say under, but I feel like we're going to see a ton of guys with between 30 and 40.
Yeah.
So I feel like if it was 30 plus and not 40 plus, I feel like it would be way, way, way over. I feel like we're going to have a ton of 30s, but maybe 40, maybe not as many as 9, maybe not 10.
That's why I thought the line would be an interesting line.
That's a great line, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to say maybe not 10, but I feel like we're going to have a lot more like 35 assist guys.
Yeah, sure.
Like you said, I feel like, again, the way that the teams are structured, in my mind at least, there's a lot of balance where there's a lot of, it's going to be scoring 2 or 3 lines of scoring, not just like one line on each team that does a lot of the scoring. So I feel like those numbers are going to be balanced, but overall higher overall.
Yep.
This last year, Nugsy, we had 5 teams across the league with a 20+% power play percentage. 2 years ago, we had 8. Right now, if you look again, we're 5 to 8 games in, but right now we have 7 that have a 20+% power play pace.
Yeah.
So I'm going to set it at 6.5 teams with 20% or more power play by the end of the year. Again, last year we had 5. 2 years ago we had 8. Right now we have 7. I feel like 6.5 is kind of a nice number to put it at. Where do you think the power plays will be this year?
I think it'll be over. And I think to make the playoffs this year, you have to have a 20% plus power
That's a
play.
good.
If
that's
you
a
don't
good.
get a 20% plus
yeah.
with the penalties that are being called and the way the game is, if you can't score on special teams, if you can't stop the 2, then you just cannot make the playoffs.
Yeah. So you're putting the. We're not going to put a points total on our playoff thing this year. It's going to be power play percentage.
Yeah. Hey, look at it.
I don't hate
Seriously,
it.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Last one to have some fun with. Last year, I know Tommy just said, guys with 80 points in our interview. He mentioned they had a couple. They didn't have any. We didn't have anybody with 80 points in the league. 70.
He was just saying like superstars.
Yeah. Denway had over 70, and they had a lot of guys with 50 to 60.
And obviously, who knows what, like the Renus and the Ingram and whatever would have had if they'd stuck around.
Probably in that range.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a guy with 80 necessarily. A couple years ago, we had like 4. We had like 5 a few years ago, 2, 3. We usually have at least 2 or 3 guys with 80 points. Will we have any this year? My over-under is simply 0.5. Will we have 0 or more than that? What do you think in terms of 80-point guys, over-under 0.5?
80 is a high number.
I know, but we got it on an annual basis.
Yeah, I'm going to say over. I'm going to say somebody.
Yeah, somebody will get it this year. I'm also going to say
Jacob Streetsy is, if he just keeps doing
He was
like
right
this.
there last year, too, Streetsy. He was in the low 70s, I think.
Yeah.
He was right there. I feel like
He's putting in scoring goals, and then the assists will come, I'm sure.
He'll find a way.
Yeah.
But I definitely think we're going to have, I'm going to say not just more than 0.5. I'm going to say they're going to have 3 or 4 this year with 80 points. I think we're going to, I see the 2 guys in Estevan right now, the pace that they're on, and the way that they're going to be relied upon this year. I feel like they could be the 1, 2 that combined, like they each get 80 points. Like you saw Kean Bell and Jake Southgate a few years ago. They had those kinds of numbers. Guys like that
getting
teaming
points
up
on the same goal.
Yeah, you team up, right? Those dynamic duos. I feel like the guys in Battleford's, that top line in Battleford's is going to put up a lot of points, for example. So just guys like that, I can see them. So I'm going to say at least 3. I'm going to go out on a limb.
Okay.
So there you go, Nugsy. There's our over-under. We always like to have a little bit of fun here.
I had one more.
Oh, go for it. Did I miss it?
0.
Oh, yes, I did miss it.
New team. Everybody loves this. New teams making the playoffs. Who's dropping down? Blah blah blah.
Right.
I had 0.5. So will it be all the same teams, or will there be a new one, basically.
Yeah.
Is the question. So the over-under is 0.5 new teams.
So last year, the teams that missed were Larange, Estevan, Nipawin, and Notre Dame/Warman. I'm going to go over. I'm going to say that there's going to be 2 of those teams that make the playoffs this year, and 2 that were in last year miss the playoffs. Do you want me to say who, or should I leave it? I think Estevan and Nipawin are going to make the playoffs this year. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Estevan and Nipawin. Sure. I'm not going to say which teams missed, though. Sure. But I'm going to say
I'm going to go
Estevan and
over
Nipawin
as well.
Yeah?
But I'm going to say 1.
Just the 1. Okay. You want to say who?
No.
No. That's okay. There you go. I did have that in my over-under list, but I put it at the top, and then I was going to come back to it, and I forgot. Anyways. There's our over-under for this week, so thanks, Nugsy, for playing. Let's have a look at the upcoming schedule. We got games on Tuesday and Wednesday early this week, so let's have a look. Tuesday, we have 3 games. Larange is in Nipawin to take on the Hawks. Weyburn, as we mentioned with Tommy Ries, is in Yorkton to take on the Terriers at Westland Arena. And Flin Flon against Humboldt. It's going to be a big one. The top 2 teams in the league right now. Well, I guess Humboldt's technically tied for second, but we'll go with top 2 teams in the league right now. Sorry to Weyburn. You're tied with Weyburn. But let's look at Wednesday as well. Just the 1 game on Wednesday. Flin Flon will be in Melville. That'll be a fantastic game. Nugsy, were we still thinking about going to a game this week? I think we talked about it.
Well, that's the one maybe, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. And
hey, if you want us to come to a game at your rig, let us know.
Yeah, sure. I'd take requests. I'm going to be in California this weekend upcoming for a week, so I'm going to miss a week. But once I'm back, I'm planning on going to a few games for sure right away, so we'll get to some rinks for sure. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media channels, as well as getting your subscription to Flow Hockey. So we got you covered on every single platform you can think of. Again, get your subscription to Flow Hockey. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and also subscribe over on our YouTube channel. And thank you to our sponsors one more time, of course. That is Canterra Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Canalta Hotels, SJHL, Sask Lotteries, UPL, Chevrolet, Great Western, SaskTel, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Vaterstad. Nugsy, last word to you today, buddy. What are you looking forward to this week?
Well, Tommy Ries is great.
Yes.
Great. Love talking to Tommy. No nonsense farmer, but plenty of personality. Yeah, I mean, look, Flin Flon has Humboldt. Do you want to pull a break out the measuring stick? That's a clash of the Titans. Could it be the championship? Could be. Then they have Melville the next night. So Flin Flon's got to hit the road, go to Humboldt, go somewhere, then go to Melville.
Yeah. That's a tough 2 days.
And you know what? Flin Flon is just not home the rest of October.
Yeah.
So, they got an interesting little ride coming up there for the Bombers. It just worked out that way. I asked Mike why there's no more games at the Whitney in October. It's October the 6th and there's no more games.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know, people just didn't schedule it that way. There was nothing weird or nothing scheduled or whatever.
Yeah.
That's how the cookie crumbled. So they got a lot of Whitney games in November and whatever, but
yeah, a lot of the southern teams like to kind of all plan their northern road trips around the same time. So usually they pick a week where they're just we're just going to go up to the north end and play all those teams and do all of it.
You'd
but
think
maybe they just
you
didn't
want to get to
October.
Flin Flon when the weather's a little nicer.
You would think so.
All right,
yeah.
whatever.
Well, there you go.
I mean, for all we know, it's Saskatchewan. It could be snowy tomorrow.
Well, Jeremy Corrigan literally called me out a couple years ago because I said, the weather's great, make sure you get out to the game. And then it blizzard, 2 straight days blizzard. Yep. And he was like, so Clark, there's a clip if you look on I think it's my Instagram page or something, but he's like, so you want to apologize to anybody? And I'm like, sorry, I said the weather was nice, and then there was a huge blizzard for 2 days. Anyways, big shout out to the guys in the back. I don't know if you guys want to put on your camera and just say hello. There they are.
B. Rice and C.
Bryce and Connor. Shout out to those guys for putting on a great show in the back. We will be back on Thursday with SJHL Insider. I don't know who we're going to have on yet, but we do know who we're going to have on. Did we talk about that yet for this week?
Never mind. Talk to yourself.
I might have talked to myself about it, but of course we're talking to alumni this year, so we'll be chatting with somebody cool. Check in with them and see how they're doing. But until then, I guess I mentioned it. 2 games of great games coming up. 2 days of great games coming up. 4 games until we chat with you again. So enjoy the hockey, everybody, and we'll see you on Thursday.
From the north to the prairie sky, the echoes roar, we can't deny. Bus wheels turning, miles to go, frozen roads and the radio glow. SJHL caught in the soul, Clark and Jamie on patrol. Stay here, play here, dreams collide, hearts steer. Stay here, play here, legends born through sweat and fear.